Welcome to episode 1 of the Lyric Division, a podcast where I'm going to be going through some of the greatest lyrics of all time and seeing where they take me. Today, to kick us off, I've chosen Romeo and Juliet by Straits. Straits are an interesting band, aren't they? I remember being at a party years ago and speaking about with some friends how great Brothers in Arms was and a few other tracks, and being ridiculed by one friend who disagreed. And anyway, then he'd left the room and I put on Brothers in Arms, I think, and it got to about maybe Your Latest Trick or something like that, one of the slower, more atmospheric songs. And he came back into the room and was like, "Who is this? This is beautiful. This is like, it's so atmospheric and all this." And of course, I had great pleasure in telling him it was Dire Straits. And my memories of this particular song is I wasn't greatly familiar with it until years ago. I was working in a pub in Walthamstow, and we had a lock-in, and there was a girl there who requested that it be put on. And of course, she knew it word for word, and it was lovely to see the I don't know, just what would the word be? The life force in her as she was singing this song. But anyway, let's dive into the lyrics. I've spoken before about how I believe, opening lines are important, aren't they? A love-struck Romeo sang the streets a serenade, laying everybody low with a love song that he made. Finds a street light, steps out of the shade, says something like, "You and me, babe, how about it?" Well, I mean, just that first line, the alliteration is beautiful, isn't it? Sang the streets a serenade. A love-struck Romeo sang the streets a serenade. It's really cool, isn't it, to take such an iconic and timeless story, I suppose, as Romeo and Juliet, and use it as a vehicle to tell your own story. I think I'd heard somewhere that it was inspired by a relationship that Mark Knopfler had had. What an underrated songwriter. But yeah, a love-struck Romeo sang the streets a serenade, laying everybody low with a love song that he made. Laying everybody low. What do you reckon? What would you say of that? I mean, you can get I get the feeling from that. What does it mean? Finds a street light, steps out of the shade, and then says something like, "You and me, babe, how about it?" So that's modern parlance, isn't it, man? It ain't exactly Shakespeare, but powerful nevertheless. Juliet says, "Hey, it's Romeo. You nearly gave me a heart attack." He's underneath the window. She's singing, "Hey, la, my boyfriend's back." Hey, la. That's Mark Knopfler's from like the northeast, isn't he? Sort of Newcastle way. And I know la is it's a Scouse thing, isn't it? Liverpool, which I think is short for lad. And I do say la myself. Call my sister la sometimes. But again, great modern parlance. She says, "Hey, it's Romeo, you nearly gave me a heart attack." He's underneath the window, she's singing, "Hey, la, my boyfriend's back." You shouldn't come around here singing up at people like that. Anyway, what you gonna do about it? Juliet, the dice was loaded from the start, and I bet. And you exploded in my heart, and I forget the movie song. When you're going to realise it was just that the time was wrong, Juliet. I mean, it's anybody who's been in love, I suppose, or had the heart broken can relate to this, I guess. The dice was loaded from the start. Do you ever have that feeling, You think something's good, and in retrospect, you think, man, it was always going to go that way. Anyway. Come up on different streets. They were both streets of shame, both dirty, both mean, yes, and the dream was just the same. And I dreamed your dream for you, and now your dream is real. How can you look at me as if I was just another one of your deals? Come up on different streets. They were both streets of shame, both dirty, both mean, yes, and the dream was just the same. Well, I mean, I know the story of Romeo and Juliet from reading it at school and seeing the quality of the school that I went to. I'm not sure how much I actually read of the play, and I do remember my English teacher wheeling in the is it Baz Luhrmann movie, the one with Leonardo DiCaprio, wheeling that in and playing it to us so we could understand what was going on. But it is something I guess I think about more now that I'm older, that whether you're born rich or whether you're born poor, what is it in the story, in the Shakespeare story? Is Juliet from the rich family, or they're both rich families? But what I think Mark Knopfler's talking about here is that it doesn't matter if you're born poor or you're born rich. They both hold their shame, don't they? You know, they're both tough. Both have your own things to deal with. When you can fall for chains of silver, you can fall for chains of gold. You can fall for pretty strangers and the promises they hold. That's a great line, isn't it, man? You can fall for pretty strangers and the promises they hold. Because you do, don't you? You know, you see things in people that aren't there. Or I found when I was young, less so anymore, you know, I try and look out for it, but it's easy to project on people and ignore little warning signs, I suppose. And when you want something so bad, you know, or long for some kind of connection, or to be understood, I suppose. And of course, there are psychopaths out there also. You've got to watch out for them, haven't you? You've got to watch out for them. You promised me everything. You promised me thick and thin, yeah. Now you just say, oh, Romeo, yeah, you know, I used to have a scene with him. That's, it's, there's a line in one of my own songs, you know, you're acting like you never even knew me. And it's a weird thing, isn't it, man? Like, you know, that you can have like such an intimate relationship with, you know, such a close relationship with somebody, you know, exchanging bodily fluids and all that as well, you know, and spiritual energy or whatever it is. And then, you know, one day it's over. And then one day it's just, it seems like nothing. Or you don't even know that person, you know. They don't know you. So is it minimizing do you tend to minimize the importance that somebody might have had on you? Going back to the poem of my own that I've shared before. We are made of the things we lose. Maybe I should do an episode about that song, that poem. Juliet, when we made love, you used to cry. You said, I love you like the stars above. I love you till I die. There's a place for us, you know the movie song, when you're going to realise it was just the time was wrong, Juliet. Yeah, so that's like just, I guess, kind of saying what I was just postulating about, you know, the juxtaposition, you know, of minimising, you know, or just Something that seems so distant that was once so close, I suppose. Juliet, when we made love, you used to cry. You said, I love you like the stars above. I love you till I die. Man, it's the promises you make, isn't it, when you're in love, or the things you say that you think you're going to feel forever, and hopefully at some point you are going to feel those forever with somebody, I suppose. But that passion, it's a magical thing, isn't it? It's a magical thing. Was it? Well, you can. I guess you could think. Was it real? Even the worst, the worst relationships that I've had. There's still wonderful things in them, And I guess as time moves on, perhaps you might forget the world. It's easy to look at the past through rose-tinted glasses, isn't it? And you can't be naive, I suppose, because you need to learn things and learn lessons, to avoid pitfalls in the future and all that. But it's probably a good thing also to remember the past. To remember the good things in the past, isn't it? To romanticize the past, perhaps. What do you think? Is that the best way to go about things? I can't do the talks like they talk on the TV, and I can't do a love song like the way it's meant to be. I can't do everything, but I'll do anything for you. I can't do anything except be in love with you. Yeah, it's once again just capturing like really precisely in 4 lines what it's like, I suppose, to be consumed, or be possessed by this loving spirit for someone who you think is a match for you, or perhaps might complete you, or excites you, or how do you tell the difference, between lust and love, or excitement and all those kind of things? What does romance really mean, How much, of this is how much are we influenced by culture, I suppose, to think that, there's a knight in shining armour, or there's somebody out there, just one person for you, It reminds me of a Bukowski line in Hot Water Music. It's like 15 years since I read that book, but Strokes to Nowhere, I think it was called, one of the short stories in that, and he spoke about, how can you say you love one person more than another? Because there's probably, thousands of other people who would be more compatible with you, but you will never meet them. I guess it depends on how you choose to view life, doesn't it? That Forrest Gump thing. Are we all floating around accidental, or is there some purpose or some meaning, or this is like getting philosophical stuff now, isn't it? Do we have choice? Is everything, preordained? Is it a mix of both? Yeah. I can't do everything, but I'll do anything for you. I can't do anything except be in love with you. And all I do is miss you and the way we used to be. I found and experienced that sometimes, with I guess a romantic relationship, but also with musical relationships, or friends, or times and places, and it's a dangerous place to be, I think, because it's gone, the past, isn't it? And you've just got to move on, with everything in life, Unfortunately, well, something's got to end, hasn't it? Because otherwise things wouldn't get started. But it's missing good things and good times. It's it's difficult not to do, isn't it, sometimes? But I guess, you just got to let it go and try and be present in the moment. I was thinking about just in general, life just throws stresses at you, doesn't it? One after the other. And I think we would be a fool to believe that that's ever going to stop. So I think all you can do is try and build yourself a life and build yourself as a person where you can weather those storms a lot more easier. And I realised at some point that is the importance in some kind of meditative practice for me, because what is meditation? Or like I could never quite get my head around what it is, but really I think it's just practicing being still. And and if you can practice being still, if you can get good at being still, then when the shit hits the fan, as it often does and is always going to, you can remain calm through the storm, and it's going to help you out, man. So, it's a work in progress for me, but I'm doing better than I was. And I hope, you're going to do better as well than you were. And all I do is miss you and the way we used to be. All I do is keep the beat, the bad company. I don't know if that's a typo that I've got written here on my sheet. I always thought it was all I do is keep the beat, the band company. Could be either. And all I do is kiss you through the bars of a rhyme. That's a great image as well, isn't it? The bars of a rhyme. And double meanings. I love double meanings in songs or in lyrics. The Beatles springs to mind, Rubber Soul, the rubber soles of your boots, but also a soul made of rubber. All I do is kiss you through the bars of a rhyme. Juliet, I'd do the stars with you anytime. We can conquer the world, I mean, what was he saying earlier about the stars? Juliet, when we made love, you used to cry. You said, I'd love you like the stars above. I'd love you till I'd die. Call back to that, I suppose, and that excitement, that, right, we're going to take on the world, you and me, This is what I've been waiting for, we just come on, let's go. But of course, everyone brings their own baggage, don't they, into relationships. And especially, I guess, the older you get, maybe you bring more. Or do you bring more, or are you just more aware of the shit you've accumulated, Or the childhood traumas, that also influence, supposedly, our relationships with people. And then we're back to the chorus of kinds, I guess. Juliet, when we made love, you used to cry, said I'd love you like the stars above. I'd love you till I'd die. Oh, yeah, I've just gone back for that bit, but he's singing it again here, so that's got to be apparent, calling back to the good times, isn't it? The good memories. There's a place for us, the movie song, when you're going to realise it was just the time was wrong. Yeah. yeah. Let me know some of you guys. Let me know some of your experiences in relationships, that have ended. Do you feel that it was, right person, wrong time? And we're different people, aren't we? As we move through life, as we learn and we grow and experience good things and bad things. So that old adage of no one can step in the same river twice, because it's not the same river and it's not the same person. Yeah, not the same person. So yeah, I suppose depending when you meet people. And that's all, I suppose, also a different thing, a difficult thing, isn't it? Like, I suppose that people that get together young, like, you grow together perhaps, but you might grow apart together. I suppose at least, as time goes on, perhaps you know who you are, or you maybe you change less, or you've discarded more of what is holding you back or useless to you. I don't know. And I love struck Romeo. He sang the streets a serenade, laying everybody low with the love song that he made. Finds a convenient street light, steps out of the shade. He says something like, "You and me, babe, how about it?" You and me, babe. How about it? Isn't it? That's like it's such a juxtaposition to the rest of the lyric, and the romanticism and how well he expresses the things he wants, because in that moment it's just like, it doesn't get any more basic or simple than that, does it, And crude, I suppose, You and me, babe, how about it? He says something like, "You and me, babe, how about it?" What's the Shakespeare part of that, Like, he is in the Shakespeare play. What does Romeo say to Juliet? Because I can't remember. Although I do remember being in Porto last year, and there's a famous park, I think, in Porto, and there was some sort of remains of some building that had like a balcony on it and beautiful gardens, and it did make me think of Romeo and Juliet at the time. But anyway, guys, I think that brings us to the end of episode 1 of the Lyric Division. I felt a little bit clunky, going through that. I'm not sure how it came across to you guys, or how much I digressed or pondered, or that's kind of what I do, digression. But thanks for joining me, and I'm sure as I continue this process, that these podcasts, it'll get more streamlined, and more kind of free. I guess there is some kind of like some nerves perhaps I've experienced doing this, because I haven't got the music, to hide behind, to if that's the right phrase, to react to, and that. So it's a different experience for me, but I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think, and episode 2 will be next Sunday. Take care of yourself. Lots of love. See you later.